Hello everybody and welcome back to the LCS Challengers League promotion tournament. We finished our first round of games and we are up in the upper bracket where we will welcome our first team back into the NACL for the summer 2023 split. We've got a great series ahead of us with Maryville University taking on AOE Gold, and I'm really excited to get into the action. Hello everybody, my name is Graves. We'll be alongside these two beautiful casters to my left, Magical and Beatdown Boulevard. If you're not familiar with me, I've been around the NACL qualifiers where Maryville University did come from, and it's a good little time to mix the casters around, and I hope that we get a really competitive series here, gentlemen.
Hey, got any grapes?
We already did the bit.
First of all, we can't do it again, and I just realized that was both of us.
I'm the duck guy. Come on. Of course I can do that again.
Costumes. Okay, anyways, Graves,
get the costume.
Graves, you can't let him do this. You can't let him do this, Graves, please.
We had enough ducks the first time around. I had the grapes costume. It's still packed away.
Exactly.
I'm repping the red for Maryville, my boys from the qualifiers. You're repping the yellow for AOE Gold, and that is the matchup that we are going to watch. But if you're not familiar with how we got here, we got a quick little explainer video to show you how the format has worked throughout this week.
Welcome to the Spring 2023 LCS Challengers League Promotion Tournament. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Smax, and we're here to talk you through everything you need to know.
The promotion tournament will feature 8 teams from the North American developmental landscape, the 4 lowest placing NACL provisional teams from Spring, and the 4 teams who earned the most qualification points across the 2 NACL Spring Open qualifiers. These 8 teams will be placed into a modified double elimination bracket. Our first round will have a provisional team matched up against a qualifier team in a best of 3.
Seeding for the 4 provisional teams was based off performance in the NACL playoffs, while the qualifier teams were ranked by total points earned across both open qualifiers. The winners of the first round will play each other in the upper bracket best of 5, with those winners becoming the first 2 teams welcomed into the summer NACL season. The losers of round 1 will be sent down to the lower bracket, where they will play a do or die best of 3 against another round 1 loser. The winners of this best of 3 will move on to our lower bracket best of 5, where they will face off against the loser of an upper bracket best of 5 to qualify for summer NACL. Those eliminated will have the chance to re-enter the open qualifiers next split to earn the chance to challenge the promotion tournament once again.
So, best of luck to the teams competing, and we'll see you there.
Now, it is important to note that we are on day 3 of our 7-day affair here in the Challengers League promotion tournament, which means that some of the games have already taken place via that format explainer that Sierra and Smax had. And we can take a look at the bracket and see what has gone down in these first couple of days, because Magical, these were not necessarily the results that we were expecting, especially down on that bottom half.
Well, I mean, if you also look at the explainer video, how it showed like the provisional teams moving on, only 1 qualifier team. Exact opposite, where we have 1 provisional team and 3 qualifier teams moving on in the upper bracket. So we will have new teams joining in for the NACL summer, which is really exciting. But yeah, it was very surprising. I had actually pegged Tony Top as a team that possibly could beat a team like FlyFam, but TLF losing to Team Fish Tacos was really impressive out of Taco, just with how they were able to play into that matchup and really were able to get a hold of TLF from the get-go.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a really fun matchup. We'll be seeing that best of 5 tomorrow, and it kind of goes to show how little we really knew in terms of the expectations of qualifier teams versus provisional teams. In fact, over these past couple of days, I've been doing a bit of a little experiment with my Twitter, if we could pull this up right here.
Okay.
So I asked people right before the tournament started, how many teams do we think would get promoted, not including Last Dance? The answer was basically 2, and as we go throughout the days, you'll see that the numbers start to change a little bit. After the first day, when Maryville really took a hold of the Last Dance, the percentage of people that went to 2 jumped up by a lot, and this is what happened after day number 2 of games. Now, most people think that they're going to be 3 teams, not 2. So overall, perceptions have changed a lot, Beatdown, and I think that's a really exciting thing to keep an eye on as we head into this matchup.
For sure. And I mean, we talk about expectations, and we got to give a lot of props to teams like Tony Top and Team Fish Tacos for, exceeding our expectations. We even had those bar graphs where we would measure how we thought they would stack up against our provisional teams coming from Challengers League, but they managed to make it happen. But today's matchup is even more exciting because these are the 2 teams that we all agree as a broadcast should be making it into Challengers in summer. And today we're going to find out who the first one of that's going to be.
Yeah, the matchup again, AOE versus Maryville University. Let's start off with our team from the NACL, the highest ranked provisional team that did not get the auto bid into summer. We take a look at the roster right here. Of course, Magical, a lot of expectations for this team coming in, and they proved that with a 2-0 victory over Supernova just a couple days ago.
I talked to Skytech a little bit. I was able to DM and kind of talk with the player a bit about their expectations going into this. And from what Skytech said, they didn't believe that they even deserved to be here, that they thought they were a lot better of a team, that they could prove themselves a lot more in summer, especially if they can make sure they get promoted back into the NACL summer split and really prove why they had this confidence with themselves.
Yeah, and we learned a lot about them and the team as a whole throughout the season, but we also heard from their jungler Winnie about their expected confidence levels going into the tournament after their win against Supernova.
I always have the mindset that I'm the best one out there, and I need to do what's necessary in order to win. Obviously, going to this, competing in NACL and being, I'd say an average team, especially coming into summer, might be my last opportunity to kind of show what I individually think I can deserve and the level that I can play at. In terms of me, I definitely want to, if it is Maryville that advances, I definitely want to face them. Things I remember, I've played them in like 2 finals now, where they got the better of us. And yeah, I just think going to this, I'm confident, like I said, confident going into any players. Otter is a good friend of mine. And I think with this roster, I'll be able to really, showcase kind of the difference between us. I really want that matchup. Be a really big confidence boost and able to take them out.
We were talking about how much Winnie was really looking forward to playing up against Maryville and just kind of showing how dominant AOE really is in comparison to the rest of these 8 teams. And we saw just a couple days ago, that matchup did not look super favored towards Supernova. It was a lot of AOE throughout that series.
I think it's fair to say that we expected that, given what we've seen from AOE and Supernova just recently losing their jungler, having a much new player in Kizno coming through here. But overall, I think this series was a pretty good example of AOE and their strengths. They are always ready for the early skirmishes. They are always ready to throw down, even when it seems like other teams would not be as interested in doing so. So that is how they find a lot of their advantages, and a lot of that is through Winnie. We always have to talk about this man when we talk about AOE. And even talking to him, he tells me how much he valued the time in Challengers League, being able to play against such top talent. And now today is going to be that perfect example against a team like Maryville of how much that really is worth. What did they really learn? They have to show that to us.
Yeah, Magical, do you think that AOE is gonna bring the firepower? I know they're our first seeded team here. We can talk about their opponents in just a couple of seconds, but I want to give you the opportunity to showcase your boys from the NACL.
I think that AOE, this is a team that I actually had pegged as being one of the 2 teams to not have to play in the promotion tournament. So seeing them here, even if it was just barely like we talked about, they were the highest seeded team coming into this one. They have shown why they are a strong team, and I think they will continue to do so, even against Maryville.
Well, speaking of strong teams, let's move over to Maryville University because they have been dominant throughout the entirety of the season, both here in the NACL qualifiers and through their first series in the promotion relegation tournament as well. A lot of familiar names, some new ones, especially down towards the bottom side of the map. But it is really cool to see a collegiate organization put up this strong of a showing at this tier 2 level.
Yeah, and looking at Maryville, I look at Get Back, and Get Back has been absolutely impressing me. I already knew good things would come in from Niles. We've seen him before on Maryville. Scary Jerry, the Converse superstar that joined in Maryville after getting all the way to the Collegiate LoL Finals last year. But then Get Back, this player who was initially brought over to Maryville, then APA joined, had to step back and get back a little bit so that APA could be the main starter, and now proving himself once more has really been the big star to me for Maryville.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody that we have to take a look at, but in general, the path to pro from collegiate and Tier 2 semi-pro up to the LCS is always a really interesting one to examine, and we got the chance to talk to Zyko about those aspirations, both for him and for the rest of the team.
My goal is to possibly go into NACL and try to do well there, and possibly end top 10 in solo queue and hopefully get picked up by the end of the year. That's the goal. AOE, they almost lost game 1 to Supernova, so maybe we'll have a really good chance of going against them.
It seems like both of these teams beat down pretty confident about how they're going to do against each other.
Yeah, and I think Zyko is a little too humble, I think. We talk about Maryville as a roster and what they've been able to do throughout the qualifiers, and it's just been some incredible stuff. The fact that, again, 250 points were available to every qualifier team to basically make it to this tournament to play in NACL, and they managed to get 240 of them. Incredible stuff, and this is a team, that's why right out the gate, we expected them to be one of the ones to make it to NACL in summer.
Yeah, and even though their matchup against Last Dance was the closest in terms of seeding, was not that close overall in terms of gameplay.
I mean, it's closest in seeding, but we also knew the skill disparity. Maryville has been this team that has been absolutely dominating in the OQs. Even if they struggled a little bit in the second one, they still eventually would end up taking the entirety of playoffs, right? This is a very strong team that knows how to play together. They're very aggressive early into the game, gets them these leads that then when it comes to the team fights, they're so far ahead that nobody can really even touch them.
You mentioned early game, and I think that's a really cool thing to talk about as well, especially because both of these teams really good in the early game, and I think a large part of that is their junglers in Odd, Orange, and Winnie for AoE. I mean, both of these junglers be doing a lot to set up their team to get them these early leads.
For sure, and it's really interesting to look at how they both really set their teams up. Odd Orange for the side of Maryville really works to use that early jungle pathing to be able to facilitate these strong laners that Maryville University has, and not exactly always go for those skirmishes even though they're willing to. But on Winnie's side, it's just looking for these fights. It's him and Skytech syncing up, looking for these early skirmishes, these early fights. They're ready to throw down at any given point in the early game. And I know Cubby says this one a lot. It's Winnie and AoE rarely see a fight that they don't like.
It's going to be really fun to see between these two junglers, and I think another cool thing is we have a fun little graphic to show up between these two is the fact that they've been around multiple different levels of the path to pro. Both of these players have been in Tier 2, Tier 3, and also part of Collegiate as well.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Winnie, looking at Odd Orange, these are players that have quite a storied history when it comes to League of Legends, but also are players that it feels like they're still in the prime of their career, and they still have so much left that they can prove to everybody, right? Even if you look at how they both had stints in Academy before, back when it was Academy, and now Challengers. We have Radiant, Supernova, AoE, Wildcard, but then also the collegiate experience from these players. They play they still play like they're going to prove themselves every time, that it's now going to be their chance next time, right? All they have to do is get these wins, like for Odd Orange. He's been doing a great job with Maryville, stepping in over there since Iconic, who had been the jungler for such a long time. Now it's been Odd Orange getting the starting role over there. Has been this very aggressive jungler that I love to watch. I mean, the Lee Sin Jarvan should indicate right away how he likes to play.
Exactly.
But then Winnie, on the other side, you know, even if it's Olaf, Graves, Trundle, still very early skirmishing, loves to play these early styles. So you have these two players that I expect to try to find edges right out of the gates off one another.
Yeah, part of it too is just the amount of experience that they boast. I mean, looking at the history between them on both sides and what they've been able to go through, accomplish, it's really like it shows in their gameplay with how they kind of lead the teams that they play on as well.
Yeah, both these junglers kind of big facilitators, big voices for their squads. And let's take a look at some of the early aggression that Odd Orange had. Beat, you were talking about the differences in playstyle and just a lot of really early invading and kind of 1v1 invading here for Odd Orange.
Yeah, it's really it shows like that first play, for example, Maryville really good at using one, strong lane matchups that they draft for themselves, and two, the prio to set up all sorts of plays. You can see it, Odd Orange with the help of Getback in this clip, who got that ability to roam and help get leads for Niles in the top side. Someone that they play for a lot early, both in how they prioritize draft and how they try to set him up in the early minutes.
Yeah, and honestly, even with how they play topside, right, to try to set up Niles, it's not like Odd Orange isn't playing around the other sides of the map, too. Like you talked about, the invades, that's usually why we see him a lot on the Lee Sin's his historical most played champion. Even when you look at the first OQs, that was the champion that he was playing the most. Jarvan being another thing, looking for those invades, but also he likes to go from lane to lane to lane, ganking every single one to try to get leads, like you talked about, Grapes, facilitating every one of the members of Maryville.
And it's an interesting comparison to how Winnie played, especially against Supernova, where not necessarily having as many winning lanes, but still using as much of his priority as he possibly could to set up these plays for his team.
I mean,
this one was really smart. Like, I love this play here where Winnie goes for the Raptors. They know that they aren't seen in any capacity and they have the Blitzcrank to play for, and that was the beginning of, Zyko talked about how game 1 wasn't great for AOE against Supernova even though they won. Game 2 was completely different because Kizno was forced out of this game off of a really smart level 1.
He did not get a jungle. Kizno did not get to play this game, and this is something we typically see out of Winnie. Even when you look at the first game against Supernova when he was on Graves, he was looking for those invades. He was still looking for those plays. It just was a matter of the fact that, as Cubby talked about, you just brought up that Winnie doesn't see a play that he doesn't like. Even when he doesn't have winning lanes, doesn't have the advantages, still will look for that aggression against his opponent. Will look to see if he can bully them around, force the other members of the opponents to try to answer to whatever he is enacting on the map.
Yeah, the jungle matchup is going to be really exciting. The matchup between these two teams as a whole is going to be super exciting. I would not be surprised to see if many people said that these are the two best teams that we have here in this tournament. I'm super excited. One of these teams will be in the NACL, and I'm just so excited. I gotta go to song. I'll be right back.
Do we really have to play in this thing? I mean, isn't it obvious how much better we are than literally everyone else?
For some talk of promotion, I just think it's all cute. Quality looking like they're playing with their comms on mute. AOE's the best example, it never gets old. Should be happy with the silver, cause we're gonna take the gold. We got Winnie calling shots, solo lanes and birds of prey. And remember, Lexus Sky cooking in the bot lane. Maryville, watch out, cause you're gonna get wrecked. Don't you know that all our damage is area of effect?
You're really bringing up Winnie and Sky Tech to us? How about we remind you what happened the last time they played MU?
The villain's here to play, even though we're seeded 5th. Play our early game like we're a bunch of psychos on the riff. We're the qualifier champs, but we'll give it to you straight. Didn't win both of those tournaments, all just a relegate. You don't mess with Scary Jerry, and our mid lane is a beast. And no top laner is safe from the Renekton or release. All those guys at AOE, well, they better study well. All the kings of the north will be in NACL.
Woo! I'm pumped up after that one. Shout out to Deathrex, killing it on the beats.
They just keep getting away with it, guys.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Oh, it was a lot of fun to make that, and a lot of fun it will be to watch these two teams play. AOE Gold versus Maryville University. It is our first best of 5 of the promotion tournament. I'm hearing draft is ready for game number 1. Magical beatdown. The floor is all yours.
Well, thank you, Grapes. We'll see you on the other side of it. Get another rap going for us for the next series. I feel like we just got to make Eric and Grapes do a rap for every single one. Lock them in a room. You're not allowed to leave until you make songs for every single best of 5. That is going to be their job. But for us, our job here is AOE versus Maryville. Make sure you're in chat letting us know who you think is going to take this one. What team will be the first one to promote into the NACL Summer? AOE, the #1 seeded team, taking on Maryville, who arguably are the best team that we have in the open qualifiers. So it's a really good match. And keep in mind this. I'm just going to say this before I give the floor to you, Beatdown. That regardless of which team wins now, the other team will still have an opportunity to fight for a spot in the NACL Summer. This is double elimination. We are in the upper brackets at the moment. So even though it is a best of 5 and both teams would like to punch their ticket right away, they will both have another chance if need be.
I'm really glad you bring up the format, Magical, because I still think that adds that extra importance for both of these teams to win here and now, because you have AOE on the one hand, who didn't even think they should be here in the first place. Winnie talks about how they had higher expectations, especially with all the experience they got throughout the entirety of Challengers League, but now they're here. So being able to solidify that they're the best team at this tournament and making it is going to be a big deal for them. And Maryville, a collegiate program dedicated to excellence in so many aspects in and out of the game, to be able to be the first team to punch their ticket to Challengers League in summer would also be a big deal here. So even though they get the second chance, there's the chip on your shoulder that both of these teams are trying carrying into this matchup.
All right, and speaking of chips on the shoulders, we got to see a little bit of the St. Louis University versus Maryville, where we have Winnie and SkyTech playing for those teams up against Maryville. And talking with SkyTech, he's like, Maryville has beaten me a lot, especially in the collegiate scene. But I feel very confident with AOE that this team, this NACL roster that we have, is far and away better than what Maryville has to offer. And we'll get to see that here in the draft, because right away, we got to see what has been taken away, the Annie from Get Back. Same with the Jace, the 2 champions that he's played so far. But it's left some powerful picks that we've seen also in the meta. The Forest being one of them. Gragas on the other side, the flexibility the champion provides.
Wow, not wasting any time on either side here as we're seeing the picks start to roll through. I mean, the Gragas, really strong pick overall. Of course, it could go to many different lanes, but I'm really looking at Winnie because it's one of those facilitator picks. Not the top 3 that we've seen from him before, but something he played last year throughout the qualifiers when it was the proving ground circuit, and something really strong for him to be able to grab if it goes that route. And of course, 80 carries, that's usually how it goes in that first rotation of draft, and it's going to be the Zeri for Lynx, which is an interesting one. Not exactly his most played when it came to Challengers League, but something, of course, he's competent on.
Yeah, and to be a bit surprising just because we've seen Lynx far more on like the hyperscaling things such as Jinx, even if we think about like the type of champions that Lynx has really popped off on. But Zeri is still a champion that he has played before, has that practice. But I'm looking at what SkyTech wants to draft with that, because Rakan, something that they've taken a lot, has been taken off on the other side. I know you're going what over the Cassante, so I'll let you talk about that one because I'm expecting Auto Orange to grab that buy.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because it's a really common answer to the Zeri. It's still a very strong pick in the meta at the moment. And the Cassante early is interesting. We see this champion come through first rotation occasionally, but it's a little surprising to me because Quacker, I mean, we know he plays that counter matchup in the Olaf, very comfortable on a bunch of different champions, but instead wants to grab this one, almost certainly going to ban away some of those good matchups on the other side there, just in case you're worried that Niles is going to be picking that one up.
I'm kind of wondering if I know this might be out there.
Talk to me.
What if Dark Wings takes the Cassante here?
Oh, okay. That is. I was ready for you to say, "Don't talk to me anymore." But actually, Cassante mid is a thing. It's very hard, so it's not something I'm a fan of at this level of play. Even in the pro level, some mid laners really struggle to pick it up, but it is a possibility. I'll give you that.
Okay. I just wanted to put that out there because I'm like, you have Gragas, you have the AP, so you don't necessarily need to have that from mid lane. Obviously, it'll depend on what Get Back plays in mid lane. Because as we get to the second part of bans, we see Silas banned out, not going to allow to... Because I'm expecting actually maybe Niles wants to go for something more on the tanky route, especially when you ban a Silas. Malphite is something that kind of stands out to me. But then Ari on the other side, the deny Get Back, something that he is very comfortable on. And I'm wondering if they just double up on mid lane bans to really put Get Back down into the pool.
Wow, okay, the Taliyah ban actually, it makes me think that actually is Cassante mid. I'm not like fully sold on it yet, but considering what Dark Wings plays generally, the Ari ban is fine, because, Vi Ari, you want to deny that combo, Get Back is good.
Whoa!
What's going on?
What? It's a Lee Sin and a Vi!
Wait, it's Lee Sin. Is it Lee Sin top lane for Niles? That's gotta be it.
That is Lee Sin top lane.
So that could be really interesting if we do see the Cassante mid, because at the end, it could just be something like completely different.
Or is that Lee Sin mid lane to answer the Cassante?
Yeah, see? So they take the the big brains on AOE. That was a good, that's pretty good.
Hey, I called out the Cassante mid. I got that one. I was like, wait a minute.
You did? I'll give you that.
Sometimes this brain works. Occasionally, this brain works beat down. But now, what does SkyTech want in this bot lane to really help out Renata, especially with a lot of players that want to play into them? The Renata Glass actually makes a lot of sense here.
It does. I mean, it's a common answer into the Rakan. You do have that bit of disengage option with the ultimate as well, that hostile takeover. And you can see with what Maryville are running here that they want to run straight into AOE. So it's a really nice way to round out this composition. I like what AOE have gotten for themselves here. And now we're going to see Quacker again, one of his most commonly played champs in recent memory, in the Olaf to play into that Lee Sin. We've seen what he's going to be able to do. And I mean, Olaf likes this team that he's playing into as well.
Yeah, he really does. The only thing is, I'm really looking at this top lane matchup.
Yeah.
Niles on Lee Sin up against Quacker on Olaf. Both champions like to skirmish early into the game. Both of them want to get that edge right off the bat. And with how we've seen both Quacker play on this Olaf, but also Niles, when he calls up Odd Orange to make sure they play around him and get these early leads, is then someone who does not relent the pressure.
That's right. And so now we talk about both of these teams. They have a lot of options to play it out in the early game. And we know how Maryville usually managed to get these lane advantages. But at the moment here, I'm leaning a little more towards AOE in those early minutes. You have Winnie on this Gragas pick where he's going to be able to do a lot of damage. And because they like to early skirmish, this is actually a pretty good, strong top side for them. And they're going to have a pretty good time going for something like that Rift Herald early on. I think Maryville early on needs to sit back a little bit, but lean really heavily on Odd Orange to be able to set up some of these early game plays.
And here we are on to the Rift. Spam in chat either AOE or MU. Let us know who you are rooting for here in game 1 of our best of 5. Winner moves on to the NACL Summer. Loser will have one more chance to fight for a spot, but they will have to make sure they go through another best of 5 in order to do so. And it all starts with this first game with the Lee Sin top lane, Cassante mid lane. You couldn't ask for anything better, could you, Pete?
No, and the Lee Sin is an interesting one too. We've seen it a tiny bit these past couple of months. Niles himself played it in the qualifiers, and I believe it was Hoon during a spring Challengers League just recently also had been running it there. It's usually good for these strong lane matchups because Lee Sin is actually pretty good at skirmishing early, but he's playing into Olaf, who is the king of early skirmishing here. So that is why that one's a really exciting lane to be looking at here.
Looking at where the junglers are starting at the moment, both of them will be meeting towards the top half of the map as expected for Maryville, but I like this read from Winnie. Knowing that that is how Odd Orange tends to like to play, especially when you see a Lee Sin top lane. Yeah. You know that Maryville are looking to play early around the top side.
Yeah, and it's good for Odd Orange to start on that bottom side. He avoids the good look that Quacker was going for here. And already, with what we were talking about, Odd Orange dying early, getting set behind on his clear early would have been detrimental to the early minutes here for Maryville. So now they're getting off on the right foot, you know, they are pathing away from this Varus and Rakan on the bottom side. So I'm expecting Odd Orange to be going for plays either towards that mid lane, into this Cassante, or more commonly in the top lane for Niles.
That's what I'm expecting as well. I'm looking towards the top side, even if mid lane could be an interesting answer, especially for Get Back, someone who has been quite pivotal, where a lot of the successes you look to, just the other day when they were facing off against Last Dance, is Jace. Around the YOLO Baron that Last Dance were attempting, and then the snipe that he was able to get on into NXI that pretty much made the play even more Maryville-sided. You would like to play around the mid lane, but I do understand that it's a Lee Sin top, and we'll continue to talk about Lee Sin top for that exact reason.
Oh, and I like this one. You get that early priority on the Cassante, and Winnie knows this. They're going for the invade. It's spotted out, and Odd Orange is looking like he wants to rush the buff.
Oh, he's going to take it. Dodging away, too, from the belly flop. Secure that, but Quacker, he's ventured up here.
He missed.
He missed that, but he's going to get a lot of damage. He'll force out the flash of Odd Orange.
Yeah, really nicely done. That pressure is what we wanted to see, especially with the lane advantages that these solo laners have gotten for themselves. Very nicely done, applying that pressure, limiting what Odd Orange is looking to do, and I mean, they're just off to a good start here for AOE.
It's the good read. It's a very good read.
Yeah.
The pathing was expected. Knew that Vi was going to be there, and like you said, it was a good shout out from Darkwings having getting the prio mid lane that they could roam around. It was also off Quacker getting that flash off of Odd Orange afterwards to just cement the play as being thoroughly AoEs. And this is where we wonder what is going to be the backup plan for Maryville. Where do they look elsewhere to try to make up for a play that normally tends to be so favored for them, especially when we look at the OQs?
Odd Orange still has a lot of options in this early game. I mean, you have Get Back, who is, oh, hold on.
Niles, you don't fight those ones.
You can't fight Olaf. It just can't happen. And it's really important, too, for Quacker. He gets this wave in. He doesn't have teleport. But being able to force that out from Niles as well makes it even better.
Oh, canceling the recall, too. That's a fat minion wave. Niles has no flash. Winnie
right.
has his. Niles realizing, help, I'm in danger. Should be clinical out of AoE, but here's going to be the TP. Dodging away, but belly flop, the damage. First blood picked up by Quacker. Get back just too late to help out.
Nice and clean. You get the teleport out of Get Back, and it doesn't save Niles. All he's going to be able to do is collect that wave and potentially see Niles TP mid. But a really nice dive and just a continuously solid early game here from AOE Gold. Being able to find these advantages, stifling what Odd Orange and the rest of Maryville want to do so far.
And especially when you look at mid lane too, Get Back, he TP'd, and there was a slow push going back towards Darkwings at that moment. So Niles, he goes mid lane and realizes the wave's frozen right outside of turret aggro, and he's only got 19 CS. He is so far behind on this Lee Sin.
So far, the pick has not been working out. Really clever pivot from AOE in the draft, starting to pay off on top of the early play that they've been going for here. You can see it, Winnie, not interested in that early dragon. It's the Herald that we were highlighting that they want to be focusing on here. And with Quacker already being a kill up, has that Vamp Scepter, is very strong at the moment here. You combine that with Darkwings on the Cassante, and this Herald should be theirs.
And I like this from Maryville, understanding that a lot of the players topside have not gone their way. They read the map, they're like, yeah, you know what is going well? Well, bot lane is still going well. The Scary Jerry was able to get a slow push back against Link Skytech, who just reset to get back into lane. So they get themselves the first dragon of the game. They're getting consolation prizes. They're getting some things on the map. But the bigger thing is they got to make sure that they're stopping the bleeding elsewhere. Otherwise, these small little consolation prizes just will not add up in time.
And I like what Winnie's doing as well. It's a lot like what we saw yesterday. He's not, before recalling, he's going into Odd Orange's jungle, taking the respawn camps for that extra XP, and Odd Orange isn't doing a lot of trading here, so you're finding these small leads in XP. You're limiting the gold options there for Odd Orange and what he's really able to find here. Look at what Quacker's done. Niles is forced out of the turret. He's dropped even more gold and XP, and Quacker's picked up the turret plays. This lead is ridiculous. Quacker is the one who has the reins for this game one.
This is him on Olaf, too. You look at the OQs when Quacker was playing for one of the OQ teams, not with AoE, obviously. He was playing a lot of Olaf, and Olaf was his best champion, undefeated in the OQs on it. We look back to just a couple days ago when it was game 2 that Quacker got this Olaf solo kill after solo kill against Dragoon in the top lane. Having this champion and then given the resources like in this game where he has got double the CS of Niles, and we're only 7 minutes into the game.
That's right, you look at the rest of the map, of course, Scary Jerry, having that good matchup into the Zeri, has a bit of a CS lead going through here. You can see he's going for a poke build, it looks like, but he's actually running the Hail of Blades, interestingly enough. So you do get a bit of attack speed, a little bit of burst to be able to get those Blight stacks going, and he is able to get a bit of a lead going here, as you can tell. But considering what's been lost on that top side of the map, Scary Jerry's going to need a little bit more to be able to really close this gap.
Especially with the poke build going up against Olaf. There's only so much you can do. Once Olaf's like, all right, I'm killing you, you're like, I can poke, I guess, I hope, before you get
you
here.
got a flash. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but it's Ghost Flash for Quacker.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not just Ghost. So it's gonna be difficult. And this is where we look at Maryville. And Maryville have been a resourceful team, even when they find themselves in positions like this. They tend to find ways back on the map, where top lane hasn't worked out. So what is the backup plan? Well, we talked about Scary Cherry. We also got to talk about Get Back on this Victor, because Victor, great scaling champion. Something that they can rely heavily on, and Get Back has proven many times in the OQs, even here in promotions, that he is a fantastic team fighter.
Hey, Get Back, you're right. On this Victor pick is that late game insurance, and I'm with you. He really proved to be the best player just in qualifiers overall. He's done some incredible stuff during those tournaments, did some incredible stuff just the other day in Maryville's previous match, and just continues to show that he is a very strong player and someone who should be looked at, especially given the fact that in the last couple of years didn't have as insane performances. It's really cool to see that growth, and it's really in line with Maryville and what they do. Again, they're really focused on that consistent growth, hearing those exact words from their coach, Tej, over at Maryville's side. That is the consistent growth and the consistent excellence inside and out the Rift.
But I love Get Back's story too. A player brought in from Oceania, having played professionally there, brought over to Maryville, but then was put in the sub role because APA joined the team. And we've seen APA over on a team like Honda Challengers. We know how good that player has been in the Challengers League. But Get Back was put on the bench for a little bit because of that. And now he's gotten the chance to get back to that starter role, and he has really proven himself this entire year why he just deserved that spot, and really why he was in the contention against APA for the starting spot of Maryville in the first place.
You love to see it. And as expected, Winnie and AOE have picked up that Rift Herald, and you can see, oh, this is a good read.
Nice read, but flash from Winnie. Followed up by the ult. Lot Hughes trying to kill Winnie. The rest of the team is here. They might lose Winnie, but what can they trade afterwards? They've got the bailout. That's going to be the kill. But look at how low. The all out onto Odd Orange. The shield keeping him alive, but all out picking up the kill. A triple knockout from Darkwing, but the kick back from Niles will pick up the kill while Link's on the other side. He's got to be careful. They're chasing him down, so he has to lightning crash and jump his way over the wall. Blastcone looking to follow up, but 2 for 1. Maryville, they trade up. Oh, Lynx! Why are you there? No. Lynx! All right, never mind. 3 for 1. Maryville trade up.
They trade up big time. They're still down overall, and that's because look what's happening on the top side. That's a big risk for Niles to just continue throwing away that gold and leave Quacker alone to get that first brick and continue that dominance. But it pays off. You see him walking down the river while this is going on, and this is what we talk about here. Odd Orange, the rest of Maryville, being able to find these advantages in that early game. It hasn't been working out for them so far, but because they were able to, 1, get that early burst onto Winnie, and 2, have that numbers advantage because Niles came through, this was all Maryville.
All Maryville, and then afterwards, Lynx, he got himself out. I don't know why he goes back in. He has the ward too, so he knows that they're there.
Yeah, and now, Odd Orange. Oh, we're gonna get the trade.
Odd Orange, no! The smite secure, and now you're just dead. Unfortunate right there for Maryville. We're just praising them. They got the trade up 3 for 1. Even if Quacker was able to take the fully plated top lane, then Winnie there stealing away Dragon. Also Quacker showing up being like, oh, by the way, I'm a part of this game.
Yeah, Quacker's like, oh, numbers advantage. I like that. Let me try that out too. And he shows up. Yes, Niles manages to get some plate gold and a good bit of CS, which gets him back into the game. But Quacker is still
he's
a problem.
Level up, and he's also got a Ravenous Hydra. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no, he's good. He's good.
He's good, but Niles kind of realizes, like, do I go through the long lane, or do I go the other way, that over the walls that he's going to struggle to follow up on?
Right, and now we know that he's going to be able to use that Hex Gate because this is a Hex Tech Soul that we're playing for here on both sides. Okay, Darkwings gets the back. And still, at this moment, AOE are in a pretty good position. You see the gold lead, but it's all Quacker. You can see it here. Everywhere else is kind of even or actually in favor of Maryville University. So at this, we're at a point now where AOE need to make plays around Quacker because wherever he is, the play is super winning.
Okay, well, right now, Niles get back. They're looking for Quacker topside. They see him on the control board. Getting the kick back as well to Ragnarok with the damage. Having the jump on the wall. The flash, though! Quacker! 1v2. He will die to the Chaos Storm shutdown for Get Back. But Quacker making sure that he trades back once more.
That is still, I would say, positive for Maryville, especially for Get Back, who was quietly farming away and playing well in some of these early skirmishes to pick up a shutdown, get that extra gold. Being that late game insurance means getting gold in his pocket is super impactful. And we're seeing an example of what he might be able to do to help bring this back later on into the game for Maryville. And so far, I mean, it's not so bad. We're going to need to see some MR from Quacker if he doesn't want to get blown up by this Victor.
Well, I have a good news for you. Jack Show is in the future for Quacker.
He's got some MR through.
He's going to be building that one up and get that much more difficult for Get Back to take down.
Or Radiant.
Or Radiant. It could be Radiant. But I kind of like the Jack Show. Oh, wait a minute. On Orange, he finds Quacker.
Hey,
Quacker is waiting for him on the other side. And Odd Orange has no flash, no dash, no escape. And guess who's here to answer him? It is Darkwings, who wants his kill back.
Some gold into this Casante's pocket. And it's a nice catch out there from Quacker, expecting the invade. It's a good read. Allows him to pick up some gold. And Niles getting some much needed farm, considering how this early game is done, but it isn't enough really to catch back up. Again, we have our eyes on Get Back and Jerry, who, I mean, Scary Jerry on the bottom side, got a really good lead so far in this bottom lane. This is actually a ridiculous CS lead now that I'm really looking at it again. So he is also going to be a big point of power for Maryville as long as Quacker stays away from him.
And that's the big thing. You have to play around the knowledge of Quacker, the stat checker, who's right now stat checking the jungle of Maryville. And even so, this is going to be really difficult for Maryville to have to play around. You have to play around the side lanes that Quacker now has set up, even though you, yourselves, Maryville are the team used to playing around the side lanes. They're used to having Niles in the side lane be the menace for the team. The backup plan, we've already seen what Niles has been doing to try to make up for that, which is much more about roaming around the map, forfeiting himself to try to get other people ahead. I'm glad you talked about Get Back as really the insurance policy for Maryville, because he has already been in the past. We talked about how good he has been for the team in team fights, but especially in this game. 2-0-1 with the Leandries picked up as well for that extra burn, just to make sure that they could cut through Quacker as perfectly as possible. While Scary Jerry, you talked about this as
Very strong.
He's very strong and he's been quietly winning out this bot lane, quietly getting the advantages over Lynx that you can utilize one of these two factors, but it's only one of them because Quacker's still going to be very threatening to the other immobile carry.
Okay, so now I gotta revise what I said earlier. Scary Jerry is a monumental problem. He's 50 CS up, and because of how far Lynx has fallen behind, this is actually a pretty dangerous point for AOE. Again, the big thing is still, I mean, look at this, 1,500 gold in Scary Jerry's favor. We haven't seen a mythic yet from Lynx. And the concern for me is that AOE, yes, Quacker is very strong. This top side overall is in a really good position, gold and stat-wise. But you still have Get Back, Scary Jerry, who are able to output so much damage here. So you need to use those strong members on AOE to get on top of someone like this Varus, like this Victor, if you want to be able to come out on top. So the setup from Winnie and Darkwings is going to be crucial if they don't want to just get chipped away.
Well, see, this is the next question, is Winnie. We talked about Quacker and how important he has been and has gone for the Radiant Virtue.
Yeah.
But Winnie actually has a good gold lead over Odd Orange as well and has the second most gold out on his team. They really are making sure it's the top side of the map for AOE that are going to be the carry forces. And when you play something like AP Gragas, you're the best at assassinating these backlines.
Quacker has no teleport, remember? This is very good for Maryville.
Oh, with a kickback, Lynx was able to dash away, and they've got all out. Unfortunately, Darkwings is shut down by Get Back, and they've got the quickness with the dash back into the back line for a lot of poke on Winnie. But Winnie, he'll be fine for now. The 3v5, Maryville controlling the Dragon Pit. But Quacker now has shown up. Even despite the fact they are man down, AOE not relenting the pressure around this. They feel confident that they can still win this one, but they gotta be careful because Scary Jerry's in the back line, and they've got Winnie going golden. Sky Tech's gonna be the one they focus on first with the bailout. They've got the kill on a Winnie. They've got the kill on to one more. Sky Tech is gone, but they look for the undertow. Quacker in the back line. He's huge, but they've got a double kill for Get Back. TP in. It's gonna be Darkwings, who died at the very initial onslaught of the fight, showing back up to try to help out. 2v4. Tanky boys. AOE, they're scaring away Maryville, who do not want to contend against them.
Okay, so Get Back is almost certainly going. Oh, he's gonna teleport. Yeah, he's out. So
oh, wait a minute, Darkwings.
Oh, they got
him. Nicely done. The prediction gets a shutdown for Quacker.
Okay, they needed that, but that started off as a huge misstep for AOE Gold. The fact that they were able to get a few kills back is so good for them, and that they were able to stall the dragon from coming out. So they're going to be able to pick it up, but this is kind of what we talk about when we look at AOE as a team, where they look for these situations that aren't always good for them and try to set up for the fight. And if they are not careful, it will cost them this game against Maryville. For the moment, they're still in an all-right position as they manage to pick up their next strike. They still maintain a 1,500 gold lead, but not happy about the play.
Hey, you know what? As Cubby says, AOE does not ever see a fight they don't like. And they take a fight, it's messy, it's chaotic. They are still the ones that come out ahead, getting the dragon, getting a kill on Get Back as well. Shut down gold, picked up by Quacker.
True, and at this point, Quacker is astronomical. So strong at the moment here, and I still maintain that, okay, good. This is what I was talking about here too. The fact that Quacker is top lane and doesn't have teleport. He took Ghost, means that you should never be trying to set up for an objective like this. But you have the numbers advantage. Maryville know this, and they pull the trigger. Again, the saving grace is that they managed to get something back, and Quacker comes through to also help kind of save the day here. And of course, this fight gets very extended. It was a good play there from Maryville, but AOE, somehow they managed to scrap their way back into it.
I mean, it's all on Quacker. See how split up the fight is from Maryville. Winnie going golden while Niles was on top of him. Then the other side, Scary, Jerry, and Getback are focused on Lynx, which allows Quacker the freedom to show up into the backline. Takes out the smite, which makes it even more risky to go for the Baron. And guess what? There's that long enough time where Darkwings could respawn and join the fight.
Yeah, again, the fact that all that took long enough for AOE to be able to get that dragon is why it's fine at the end of the day when we talk about gold value and everything like that for AOE Gold. But again, still something they need to be careful of. But Quacker, of course, he doesn't need to be careful about anything in the 1v1.
He's 2 levels over Niles right now. 50 CS. And with Winnie on the other side.
Oh, that's the kick.
Nice dash away, though, from Niles right there.
And it's the knowledge that, okay, this has been going on too long. Other members are off the map and can be moving towards us. AOE are going to wisely back off from the play. We take a look at the items here. Of course, again, AOE's top side is good, but it's Lynx who's kind of fallen behind here. Remember, Azeri, we're really waiting for that 2-item mark to come through here, and Lynx is getting there, but hasn't hit it yet. So he hasn't been able to output the DPS that we're hoping for. And if you're AOE, you need that to come online by the time this next Drake spawns, because another fight, like the last one, may not go their way. And on Maryville's side, Niles, even though he's so far behind in gold, he still has playmaking potential. True. He gets a nice kick onto Lynx, and he gets a setup for the fight, and Lynx dies instantly. It's chill. These fights are playable for Maryville.
That's how I like to dub the whole thing with Lee Sin. You don't get ahead early, you become the kick bot. Your job is to kick the important member into your team. That important member is Lynx. Take out Zeri, take out a big factor of AoE. But unfortunately, there's still other factors that AoE have on their side that you have to fear, such as Quacker and Winnie. Even though Winnie's 0-2, he's still got a lot of damage under his belt that he can utilize to burst through members like Getback and Scary Jerry, and that's why we've seen Gragas be such a mainstay in the meta right now, because people remember, he does a lot of burst damage, but also the displacement tools that he provides onto a mobile carry such as a Victor and Vars are unmatched in the game.
Yeah, very true, and I just gotta say, what a scrappy one we got here for game 1, Magical. This is a potential 5-game series coming through here. Both of these teams are delivering. What? No, it's further. He knows there's a ward there. He knows there's a ward. That's what I know.
But it's just so funny to see him by himself.
It's the flex. He's like, I could do this. I could, but I choose not to.
I think it's also, he wanted to see how much damage. He has 3 items.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. The Maw of Mount Mortius has
That's
been
huge,
completed
actually.
as well. So he's like, how much damage do I do to the Baron right now?
A little bit of a tester, and now Getback has to think about it or wait for his teammates, because that Maw is actually going to be really good for dealing with this Victor, who is at 2.5 items at this point. Getback is online. He is very strong. Means that he is the lane that you can be playing for here. And that's, I like that Maryville are going for these looks, because you have a really strong Victor who you could potentially play for. And if you take Quacker off the map, that is just so huge. That's insta Baron start.
The big thing with fighting against an Olaf is what do you gain after you kill the Olaf? Is like, can you actually kill him cleanly, or do you trade with 1 member, 2 members?
Oh wait,
the whole
Baron? Are they starting the Baron?
It's actually very interesting. I was
Yeah,
about to say,
because when he
they
showed
see all
bot.
these members here in the bot lane, and the dabbing penguin, they're like, we got Baron, baby. What are you all doing here? That's a TP Quacker.
but Quacker's
He's
here.
Popping the Ragnarok. That damage on a Zyko just by himself. The man shows up, scares off Maryville, and they keep the aggro on Baron momentarily, but they gotta be careful, because Winnie had to go golden. He's now tagged, bounced around, bail out with the knockback. They've got it. Even though they lose Sky Tech, Niles will fall. Double kill for Quacker, who is continuing the hunt, the chase on a Getback. He wants it all, and this is AoE's game.
And now they can get whatever they want. They have the pick of the map here, and they're going to choose their soul point. The Hextech soul being so powerful, and unless Odoran goes for the steal, This is just going to be a huge positive
Hey,
for
there's no
AOE
smite.
Gold.
There's no smite when he's gone.
Yeah, but just leaving. He's leaving.
He also doesn't have smite. His smite is off cooldown right now, so he can't. That is the third dragon picked up. But let's take a look at this, because at first it seems like such a good play from Maryville, but then Quacker's like, I can 1v4.
Part of the problem is that they don't have the Varus here, so the Baron take is very slow. Quacker, again, is on this side of the map and is a one-man army. So I like the shift here. Maryville think they can blow up the jungler. They think they can get something from this one here, but Lynx gets a big ultimate. The damage goes big. And I mean, the Renata really paying off with the bailout because you're buying time for Quacker to just do damage on damage on damage. And now it's AOE who have firm control of this game one.
He lands every single undertow on to get back as well. No escape at all. You're just like, what do I do? How do I escape this man? He just can chase me down forever. And now, Maryville, we're looking for the play mid lane, but it's on to Darkwings, the tankiest member. They're pouring everything to make sure they can get the kill. But that is huge. Like you said, the ult makes it a lot easier for them to kill him. And now without that front line, AOE, this is looking reminiscent around the dragon fight again.
This is going to be tough. We still really got to respect the Quacker on this Olaf. Even 4v5, I don't think Maryville have the opportunity to actually make this one happen here. Quacker has the ult back up. Winnie has his ult back up. And surely there is an angle for AOE Gold.
Oh, but they've got the root, they've got the Ragnarok with the damage again on to Psycho. Quacker trying to chase this one down, but they could lose him.
They got him.
Boss
Okay,
gone.
that's huge.
Oh, they overtrade it. They do 1-for-1 with the shutdown. They've got the kick, but Niles is on the other side. They've got a nice hostile takeover on the other side to split up the fight. And guess what? Darkwing's about to respawn, even if he doesn't have TP. Him on the map is enough of a threat for Maryville to have to retreat.
Oh, wow. What a crazy one here. But there's that opening.
No way.
AOE might be going for the Baron. It's a tough one. Maryville didn't like their chances because, like you said, Darkwings is back on the map. So they're just going to go for clearing vision instead. They're not actually going to go for it.
Quackers has still got 20 seconds left, so.
Yeah, fair enough. But now we're still at this point where it was kind of a good look for Maryville, but they didn't get it clean enough to be able to earn the Baron. So they still find themselves in a deficit. And we still see the kind of pressure and damage Quacker's able to get on his own, but now they're starting to get him real low, and we're seeing examples of him getting taken out of the fight, even with the bailout at his back. So this is what Maryville needs to be playing for in some of these fights. You play to either blow somebody else up, or if you get the angle, you try to kill Quacker immediately. And if you do, the fight's looking mighty winnable.
Well, that's where you look at Get Back's build, right? Void Staff was the second item. Death Cap completed.
Leandries. Yeah.
They've got the Leandries burn too. So much to make sure they can burst through Quacker. That is the key member they can take out of this fight, because currently Lynx is still not the biggest factor. Still only on the second item compared to 3 items for Scary Jerry. And we've already seen that Lynx has been having a hard time finding these angles to get into the fight. It's really off the back of Winnie and Quacker, the top side still being the key factor for AOE success.
Both of these teams fighting so hard in this game one here. Again, winner gets promoted to Challengers League in summer. This is the first team that we get to decide here at the end of this series, and both teams are trying so hard to get it there. So big for different reasons. AOE, again, didn't even think they would be here. Wants to prove that they belong in Challengers League. And Maryville, a collegiate program with such incredible success over the years across multiple titles, not just League, but especially in League. It would be huge for them to also earn a spot, be the first team to do so in the Challengers League come summertime.
It's a collegiate program that has tried and many times succeeded to prove that they can go toe-to-toe in Tier 3. They can go toe-to-toe in Tier 2s. You think back into Proving Grounds too. How many times Maryville had a showing there as well. This is an organization, a program that wants the taste of success. They want to get into the Challengers League to prove not only the players, but also the infrastructure they have built deserves that title of being a Challengers League participant.
You're gonna have to show it to us a little more here, as it's Dragon Soul on the line for AOE Gold, and you can see everybody's getting their backs off, spending whatever gold that they can to be able to be in the best position to secure that fight. Both teams are actually spending their gold, and if we look across the board and as far as itemizations go. Quacker at a staggering 4 items. Again, he's the man to watch in these team fights.
Too.
Yeah, Lynx is a little behind, but he's gotten the 2-item mark and he's working his way towards number 3. So he's still going to be a damage threat. And on Maryville's side, get back Scary Jerry. Those are the big damage dealers here who need to get it done, who need to avoid Quacker and Darklings like the plague.
But I'm still looking at Niles. Even if Niles struggled up against Quacker, his job is to find these important members and kick them. They've got the damage. Quacker is chasing down Scary Jerry.
Oh my God, he wants
hunting for it. He wants it.
He got him.
Hungry for it. They've got it. That fight AOEs. This team knew when they could pull the trigger as Niles gets a kick onto Lynx, but way too late. Maryville fall to Quacker's might.
And that's the Dragon Soul for AOE Gold. Odd Orange here has to go for the steal. This could be that nail in the coffin, so he needs to be careful, but he's revealed by the Ultra Shock Laser.
They know that there's no way they're flipping this soul. They don't want to even give Maryville a path back in. Securing Hextech Soul as Odd Orange on the wrong side of the map, doing his best to dodge away.
Oh,
He's doing a good
he's
job.
out of there.
There it is. Hexgate out of there.
Nice escape from Odd Orange, but it is a small consolation considering what AOE have taken from them throughout this game. Slowly but surely, for the most part, the leads have only really been about 1,500 to 2,000, but this finally broke the Campbell's back. Now we're at 4,000. A Hextech Soul and a 9-2 Olaf ready to close out this game. Maryville, despite the big item spikes coming online, despite some of the good angles that they've gotten for themselves, they just haven't been able to make it work for them so far in game 1. They'll still have their chances, especially if they stall it out towards the Elder Drake. But right now, AOE, they don't want to wait that long. They're setting up for Baron.
They're setting it up. They want to at least force a fight here against Maryville. Zyko sees Olaf and gets threatened by him. It's like, yeah, we're not even going to bother with that one. We're going to fall back. Quacker. His Olaf has been so massive for AOE here in the promotion tournament. Just watching back to the other day here in this game. And as a player who's brought in to sub in for a legendary player like Gamsu, that is a lot of responsibility put on his shoulders of a younger player. But this is someone Winnie had picked out. If you listen back to the interview the other day that Winnie was talking about, this is someone he played with back when they were on Wildcard. Said, this younger player, I trust him. I know that he's got what it takes, and he is proving it here against Maryville, the top collegiate program, as AOE on top of the Baron, making sure there's no or is there? Oh, Odd Orange, too late to steal it away, and he'll fall for the sins of trying.
And again, you got to go for these things as Maryville University, and it just feels so bad when they don't pay off. Now we look at AOE Gold. They've got the Baron. They're looking to close things out soon as they start to just take mid tier 2, try to take the top tier 2 as well. And despite the items, despite the damage, Maryville have to respect it and sack these turrets.
Maryville forced back. They have a 1-4 right now against them, with Dark Wings getting a large minion wave crashing towards the top lane, waiting for that to hit the inhibitor turret as well. Mid will fall. Niles shows up, but without Odd Orange, that reliable engage into the back line. They're too tepid to even step up, relenting control and allowing the first inhibitor to fall.
And this is AOE. They could look to just fight for the end of the game here and now. Maryville looking like they want to make a stand.
Gotta be careful though. That was the chain of corruptions on the Dark Wings, with Quacker actually taking a lot of poke from Scary Jerry. The main member that they have to rely on, Quacker, does need to heal up just a little bit before they can rinse and repeat.
Right, and they still have the Baron for just under 2 minutes. Mid supers are on their way, and they're going to start moving into the base. It's going to be the opening to allow AOE to take this top inhibitor. Maryville, they don't want to lose it. Decision time starts now. We got to see an angle. We got to see a play and engage to be able to set something up here. But for the moment, they're just backing, spending some of their gold. We're seeing stopwatches come through. This could be that moment.
Looking for anything? Now or never, Maryville, as another inhibitor will fall. Top lane gone, and Maryville, no answer to be seen.
And it's brutal. AOE now, they're going to back. spend the gold that they earned, get to either full build or very close to it at this point in the game. And even though Maryville managed to, it looks like, stall out till the Elder Drake, they're going to have supers coming mid and top lane when that Drake spawns. So it's going to be a big risk for them to even contest that one here. AOE in the driver's seat in this game 1 at 34 minutes in. And Winnie, wow. He's
Winnie,
not afraid.
Winnie. Okay, you need to be a little bit afraid because there's a lot of members there. With the TP, the explosive cast doesn't do enough damage with the hostile takeover. But Lynx
they're going.
flashing forward. They have the power. They have the might. And Maryville will crumble to AOE as Quacker.
There's a turret, guys.
Retreat. Who cares if there's a turret? Beat, that doesn't matter, does it? Look at them. They're diving and saying, all right, we got the damage. Zyko dashing away from Quackers using the Hex Gate out of his own baseball. Lynx hunts down, is unstoppable. He is officially online just in time for AOE to claim game 1.
And while it was touch and go for a while, a bit of back and forth, but AOE, Winnie talked the talk, and it's looking like AOE can walk the walk, making a statement in game 1 that they belong in Challengers League.
Game 1, taking down Maryville. It was so close for so long, wasn't it, Beat? But AOE, there's a reason why we talked to Winnie, we talked to SkyTech. They're both saying that they believe and they know they are strong enough to get back into the NACL, and game 1 proved it.
That's right, and a lot of that is because of Quacker on the Olaf. Props to him and props to AOE for a really smart draft to be able to get that counter matchup for him on the top side, to be able to secure such a strong side of the map for them to win the game.
And with that, we have a 1-0 lead for AOE, but it is a best of 5 in order to get that ticket into the NACL summer. We're going to toss it to a break, and when we come back, we'll bring back Grapes for our halftime, quarter time, fifth time, whatever you want to call it show. So make sure you stick around.
Welcome to the NACL Shack. How tough are you?
I'm ready for everyone. I'm not scared.
Who am I better than in the tournament? I mean, probably everybody.
I'd like to think that we're just better than all of them.
My mindset is that I'm better than everybody. I don't think there's anyone who's better than me in the laning phase.
I'm better than more than half of the ADs in the tournament.
Oh, I'm definitely better than Skystreams. I'm probably better than everyone in the tournament.
I think I'm better than everybody else, and I don't really recognize the names too much.
Scale 1 to 10, I think pretty much 100% chance we make it to the NACL.
I'll give us probably like an 8 or a 9. I think that we have a pretty good path. I think we're going to upset some teams coming into the tournament.
Personally, I'm pretty confident. I think I'd give us about a 7 out of 10.
I want to be MU. Really, honestly, bad. I mean, I really got a bone to pick with them.
I expect us to dominate our first matchup, and then it'll be good taking on MU at the collegiate powerhouse.
Yeah, I just kind of look forward to relegating some people. There's some sick satisfaction in it.
Personally, no bad blood. I would kind of just want to relegate all the other NACL teams.
There's only one player that sticks out among the rest, and that's Tony Top.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's tough. Right this way.